Thank you. Thank you, Vera. Thank you for the lovely land acknowledgement and the introduction. So yeah, it's lovely to be here today. I'm Sara Penner, and I'm an associate professor in the business department at the University of Winnipeg. And I always like to start talking about co-ops by mentioning I'm new to the area and I'm still learning with everybody. So my background was a little bit more in nonprofits, but I've been given the opportunity by my university to learn more about co-ops and try to bring more co-op research and education into our faculty. And so I've been really enjoying this. And I think it's really important for our business students to be exposed to different value-based business models. So I'm just so pleased to get to be part of this excellent group of people. Actually, just this morning, I was taking my dean over to the Social Enterprise Center in Winnipeg. So another value-based business model that we're trying to teach our students about, and just having these awesome opportunities. And so Sean Loney wanted to say hi, Vera, as well. So happy to hear of us all meeting and connecting. So I teach in marketing and nonprofits, and now a little bit into the cooperative enterprise. At the university, I'm also the director of our small but mighty research center on cooperative enterprises. It was created in 2013, and it was funded by local co-ops. And I think I saw Craig Gilpin on here. So Red River Co-op is so important to us in our community here. And so we started this program, and we would have a small cohort of students every year, maybe 5 to 10, take a lot of cooperative courses. And then when the funding ended in 2019, we did a bit of a program review, and they're working on revising it. Hard to sustain such a small group of undergraduates taking it, and so we were trying to think about how we could broaden to get more students. So most of our streams are about 300. We have 1,200 students in our faculty of business and economics. So how can we get more students exposed? That's what we've been trying to lean into right now, and we're open to new ideas. And so I'm excited to take notes from this call as well, to hear feedback and see what else is being done and what else we can do. We also should note with our research center, we do have a lovely advisory board. Speaking of the role of community and how we all work together, and again, Vera is part of that, and we couldn't do anything we do without them giving us the advice and knowledge, and also they come out and talk to our students all the time. So I was going to dive in a little bit to some of the courses we teach. So right now, as I mentioned, we sort of pulled back, and we're trying to get more of our students to have a general knowledge of co-ops. We just have undergraduate program here. So right now we're running a Fundamentals of Cooperative Enterprise course. So it's a second year elective course. Majority of our students who take it are business students. They have no experience pretty much when we do the little introductions around the room. No experience with co-ops. So it really does start with the basics, introducing students to this idea of a value-based business model, do lots of sharing of examples so they can see these types of organizations, that they actually exist around them. They're kind of surprised some of them are members of co-ops without even realizing. And so we bring lots of co-ops to come in and share their stories, so local co-ops. And then we have them try to create their own co-op. Think about, okay, you have business ideas. How can we, apply all of these business skills that we're learning with environmental analysis, writing business plans, and how can we apply that in a value-based business model looking at co-ops? So we have that course. We always have a wait list for it. So we think that's a good sign that our students are interested in learning about it. We think it's really important to broaden their perspectives of what a business can look like. We tend to talk social, sole proprietorships and corporations, but our students need to know that there's all sorts of other business models to achieve what they might want to achieve, in their careers as well. And then we also, not every year, but we also sometimes offer a fourth year course. So it's a little more MBA style, still just undergraduates. But we're a small group of students, maybe 10 or so, can really dig into a project at a co-op. And so we'll bring in a couple local co-ops, and they'll share sort of something that they're working on. So if I'm teaching it, usually be like a marketing or branding issue, something that I can connect the theory to, and then we have them try to work with that co-op on some solution. So getting to get a little more engaged with the co-ops, and they would put together a recommendation and then have the co-op come and they'll present to them at the end of the term. So that has, we've seen some good success with that. Sort of related to that course as well, I've been working with some of the researchers on on this call as well from other Canadian universities, and really University of Saskatchewan. So I'm not sure if Marc-André will talk about it, but having a group of researchers working on writing these business case studies to publish at Ivy, so that it's good for our students, but then all business students, also, reaching so many more students outside of just our universities who have co-op programs can learn about the co-op model. So maybe someone's teaching supply chain or marketing, but if they use a co-op, at least in the example, you're exposing far more students to these different types of business models and perspectives in the world. So I'm excited to be part of that. And we've managed to publish one so far, but my dream is that it takes so long, but the next one that we might get some of our students involved in writing them. And I think that would be really amazing as well. And then course-wise, we have a couple other value-based business model courses that might be worth mentioning. I know they're not directly co-op, but we do also offer a social enterprise course and a not-for-profit management course, trying again to see how we can expose our students to some more different value-based business models, different perspectives than maybe a traditional business school might be offering. So we're kind of proud of trying to see what we can do in those ways. We're about to start a bit of a speaker series. So the other thing that might be interesting is that, I mentioned that when our students, they take these courses, but none of them really know much about the concept. So I'm not sure how come they're signing up, but somehow you're interested enough to sign up. But what if they actually knew a little bit about co-ops and social enterprises before, they pick their classes? So we're starting a series where we're going to be bringing out local co-ops and other value-based businesses to share that with our students. So maybe we get more of our 1,200 students taking these courses, but also maybe we can broaden that into our broader university, right? We have 9,000 students. We have lots of other programs that students could benefit from understanding about cooperatives and the role in community. So that's something that we're just about to start. What else was I going to tell you? So yeah, maybe again, just as we're going to talk about some of the other things that are happening, our co-op programs exist in our Faculty of Business and Economics, and I know that's not the same at all the universities. So some of it is my bias is I really think business students should understand co-ops. But I also, thinking about how we can, it is a very interdisciplinary university. How can we get more students involved? We do allow other students to come into our department to take the course. Typically, there's only very few, but again, perhaps more marketing on our part to diversify and get some broader students into these courses as well. And as I mentioned, I'm still okay for time, Vera? Just rambling on. Okay. So then one other thing I did want to talk about, because it might be kind of a chance for some feedback from this group as well. So as I mentioned, we're still reimagining this research center and what we want to do and where we want to sort of pour ourselves into it. And so, trying to think about what is missing. I'm thinking more from undergraduate perspective. So what might be missing in our undergraduate education? And so we had a student just now do a project where he went out and tried to look online and speak to people at different universities about what they're doing and see if there's some gaps or there's some ideas, because we know there's some amazing master's and PhD programs out there. And so I just wanted to share a couple of his ideas, and again, maybe we'll have some chance for feedback here. A couple that I thought were really interesting that he brought back from his research. So one he brought back was this idea of co-op education. So I'm not sure if lots of undergraduates, but we have it in our business department where we'll try to match up students to do some of an internship, work at some businesses at the end of their degree. And so we don't have a lot of co-ops, cooperative enterprises, as part of our co-op education. And so we'd like to maybe look into, so that's something that we're going to sit down with the person who runs that program and see if there could be some opportunities to have more of our students actually get experience. And even this morning when I was talking with Sean Loney about social enterprises, that's what they said too. We would love to, if students could see, what this does in the world and sort of the fulfilling types of jobs you might be able to find if you can engage with co-ops or social enterprises, as well as them benefiting. They need the business skills, right? So it's a great partnership. So something we're going to think about looking at. The other idea he brought forward from talking to the different universities was other courses that we could teach. So, we like this idea of a broader perspective to get more students engaged. So fundamentals of co-ops make sense. But if there was something else, and so one of the ideas that came out was this idea of like a grant writing course. So I guess the university was sharing that they felt that this was a skill set that lots of co-ops felt they were missing, especially smaller co-ops that are looking for grants. And so, a great skill set for students to learn. It also transfers to nonprofits, to social enterprises. Writing skills would actually be probably great for all sorts of other business areas. And so starting to think about, what other areas could we have a course in that would really sort of benefit our students and sort of working and potentially working in these value-based businesses. Maybe some more resources. I'm sure there's people out here who know far more than me, but I'm starting to see what's out there and trying to find resources, especially for undergrad, where not all faculty might be an expert, but is there a way of having a Canadian book, textbook, resource put together to sort of facilitate some of that teaching as well? And then the last point that I liked of his recommendation was because we hired him as an RA. And so obviously engaging students in research in co-ops is something that, I want to do, I want to do more of. But he really felt the benefit of getting to be part of this project. And so finding a way to get more research projects. And this research project was supported by Red River Co-op too, while I'm giving shout outs, thank you. But anyway, so he really, getting a chance for the student to engage and see even just through the project, he learned more about co-ops, right? And so that's sort of, again, how can we sprinkle that throughout different projects, through different teaching and research? And so, he really appreciated having this opportunity to do and it's undergraduate, it has to be small little projects. So, again, that's one of our challenges when we're trying to see how to engage undergraduates. We only get them for, a course at a time or shorter amounts. But yeah, so those are some of the things that we're doing, and we definitely have room, to reimagine and to continue to figure out what we want to do. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to hearing yours and then hopefully some feedback as well.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate all that you've shared. You're a small but mighty team trying to do a lot at the university, and it's always a pleasure to hear all the things that you're working on. But now we're going to move it over to Erin, who's going to share with what's going on at St. Mary's University. And the St. Mary's programs tend to be more designed. I'm sure she's going to share this for at the master's level, but also for folks who are currently working in cooperatives. So they already have some familiarity. So over to Erin.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. You can see my screen there? All right. Well, firstly, happy International Year of Co-ops, and thanks for having me be part of this. And Sarah, love to hear what you're doing. I think that we have been circling our tail on trying to make a bigger impact in undergraduate business schools for sure across the country for a long time, with little bits of success here and there. But as you build the scope of maybe a complex way of doing that works and makes sense, then other people can replicate it. So great to hear. Okay, I am joining today from Mi'kmaq territory in Halifax, Nova Scotia, the Great Harbor, Chibuktuk, and this is where St. Mary's University and the International Center for Cooperative Management is located. We're very grateful to be here on these lands on the Atlantic Ocean. So I've been lucky to be with the center now for 9 years, and in the sector for over 20 in the housing space and different federations in the development space, and with worker co-ops as well. So it's been great to be part of all these different ways of cooperating, and we have an amazing country, and it's wonderful to be able to see what's happening nationally and internationally, and what the sector is doing and how we're evolving and continuing to be strong in our roots to meet member needs and community needs while being in an evolving economy and society and political systems. So thankful to be able to do the work that I do. At the center, this is the sort of short list together in one page of all the things that we do. We evolved from one program to a whole host of things that we do here today, and I will unpack these as I move through these next 10 minutes. But having an online part-time graduate program, so the master's program and the graduate diploma, as well as a certificate program, having short courses and cooperative study tours. And I know not everybody wants to go to Costa Rica to visit the co-op system in February, but sometimes we have to make people do it. So we'll do that again in a future year. We've done it twice before. We do research publications, and we host online workshops and free webinars as well. So just to name that, we ground what we do in the statement on the cooperative identity from the International Cooperative Alliance, acknowledging that we are a unique enterprise model, that the way that we operate as cooperatives, as much as we have diversity across cooperatives, that fundamental difference and distinction in how we operate in the economy and society. So having a complex purpose, serving multiple ends, being able to be people-centered, democratic in focus, and centering people over capital, even though sustainability, of course, is something that we all balance as cooperatives. And so much of what we do is steeped in this cooperative identity and building fluency in the cooperative identity through the courses and programs that we offer. And at the end of the day, if we all do our job well, then there'll be greater impact for members and communities in terms of meeting their needs. So for our center, giving you a bit of context here, we feel like we've found, the stool is strong on all sides that have built the center to what it is today. And the first is being a fit in the cooperative sector. And that's because this was a sector initiative. This wasn't an academic initiative. Originally, it was leaders from Canada, the US, and the UK saying, we really need an alternative to an MBA program. We need business education for cooperative leaders and managers. And that's how this whole conversation got started back in 2002. And sure enough, by 2003, we were offering, bringing in the first cohort to our master's program. And that's, like I said, has grown quite a bit today because we still have that cooperative, the Co-op Management Education Cooperative, that has over 80 members worldwide. And these members are federations, they're other academic institutions, they're cooperatives, cooperators, individuals, they're alumni of some of our programs. And so they still support what we do, both in the direction setting as well as the funding of what we do in supporting our bursary programs. In terms of academic excellence, we are located also within a business school, which is in fact unique. I know it seems overrepresented on the call today, but is not always that common. And so it is excellent to be able to say we have the rigor of the accreditations of the business school and, our feet held to the fire to have the highest quality of education, of course, being located within an institution that has in fact been around since 1802, our university, and the business school being the biggest faculty on our campus. And so we are and have been the only online program with our master's and graduate diploma program that the university offers, even though it is a physical campus, gorgeous historical campus. And that we've developed ourselves into an international hub for cooperative knowledge. So we have global partnerships. For example, just recently, we've completed a report for the UK government, which has set a new goal to double their cooperative sector over the next stretch. And so we, having done research on cooperative ecosystems, have been able to help them with that plan and strategy. We have a lot of international research collaborations, both national and international. Marc-André, whenever we get to play with you, that's always a joy as well. And also within our center specifically, we've had learners from over 30 countries, and our research outputs are used then to leverage stronger curriculum in the programs that we offer. So that's the foundation. That's who we are and where we came from and how we do what we do. And now to get into the programs that we're offering today. So again, our suite of programs, 3 online part-time programs for working professionals and co-ops and credit unions, as well as some board members and some consultants and folks from federations as well. And then we do executive education or short courses 1 day to 1 week, and our international study tours are around 1 week. So unpacking first our master's and diploma program. So we talk about these together. They have the same criteria for admission, and often people who start in the graduate diploma eventually move over into the master's program as well. So we have sort of a stepping stone approach to our programs as well, because with working professionals and busy people who are on boards and might have families and everything else, we like to give people options. But the master's and graduate diploma programs are online and part-time, 16 months and 3 years respectively. And the cohort approach to the education is really something quite wonderful about what we get to do, because people are learning from the other peers in the program and analyzing things from different perspectives and different economic contexts, different roles within their organizations and so forth. So that always enriches the analysis within the class discussions. Folks use their organization as a case study or a living lab as they move through things, and we aim to have a good balance between applicability and theory. So, applying, making sure that we have an applied and professional program grounded in the research. That's the balance. And we learn from a cross-section of management disciplines. I'll show you the courses that comprise the master's program here in a moment. And even though we do things online, we have a couple of touch points where people are in person. So they come for a 4-day orientation in Halifax on campus before they then go home, get back to work, and start the program. Our average student has about 18 years of work experience before they study with us. So that means that maybe it's been a minute since they've studied, and some come to us without an undergraduate, and that's something we can still work with. I really like to hear what you were saying, Sarah, about the students digging into a real life cooperative project, because during our orientation, we do that as well. We have a think tank portion of orientation where students are presented case examples, real life challenges from cooperatives all over the world. We often choose a couple for each orientation, and then they have some time to dig into it, research, and come up with some perspectives back. And if you think about, even a group of 5 people, but each of them coming with 10 to 20 years of work experience already, they're truly an expert group and offering some great insights to the co-ops that participate with us in those. We are accepting applications for our 2026 cohort for both of these programs. Yeah, and I can give more detail in terms of how the delivery goes. We don't do exams. We try to balance making sure that people, from the sort of an adult learning perspective, that they have the best opportunity to analyze and integrate the learning into their context and the applied context, as opposed to trying to stress people and make them do exams where they might forget it. We want people to get value out of this as they're going through the program as well as beyond. So looking next at the curriculum, everything that we do is through a co-op lens. We used to have cooperative in the name of each course, and then realized that was redundant, because this is sort of a closed program. So people who enter this program go through all of the courses. It's not as if we have people from other faculties or programs entering with us. So all of them are cooperative, even if they don't say it explicitly. But this is sort of the flow of the program. And all the one with an asterisk are part of the graduate diploma program. So you see, it's a great mix of courses that you might see in another type of master's business program, but again, through the cooperative perspective. And I will highlight the study tour. So in the second year, we do a week-long study tour to either Italy or Spain to visit some long-standing and complex cooperative ecosystems there, as well as some of the world's leading researchers. And we do open some of those seats, not just for master's students, but folks who want to do that as a standalone experience. And we are doing a study tour in Spain next spring. And we told people that, and within a day, we already have a wait list. So we're seeing about making more space for that. The following year, we'll likely do Italy. Another thing I'll highlight here is the final research project at the end of the program. It's seen as a capstone, a culmination of their learning throughout, whether they want to dig into something specific about their cooperative or a broader theme or challenge within the sector. They're assigned a research supervisor and undertake that. And there's lots of different outputs they can have. Often it's a paper or analysis. Some folks on their study tours, a familiar face there. Yeah, and our graduates say that they got what they came for, which we love to hear, and that it's made the education made a big difference in terms of improving the performance of their organization. We do have, a couple of grads here on the call today. You can ask your hard questions to them. And the certificate program is another option for folks, online part-time. There is no in-person component to this one. So in terms of affordability and, being able to avoid travel, if that's something that people are looking for, this is one option. So this is comprised of 5 courses that are also in the graduate diploma and the master's program. Again, that stepping stone. If folks want to do a little bit of a lighter course load, this one's just 1 course at a time over 10 months. and then folks can consider whether they want to go on to the other programs. This is a good foundational course. And again, you're part of the cohort, you're learning from other people, you're building your network, and you engage in those sort of foundational 5 courses as well. And we're accepting applications for that program as well right now. Might see some familiar faces there. Yeah, so in terms of some shorter options, so we have been, I think this will be our 3rd time offering this, a cooperative law master class. We do this in Pula, Croatia, where Dr. Sanja Navkovic, the cooperative economist who is co-director of our center, where she lives half of the year. And we do this in collaboration with the International Cooperative Alliance and other partners, and hosted at a university in Pula, Croatia. And so this is a program that allows folks who are law students, lawyers, folks that work in advocacy or public policy within the cooperative sector to come together. And it's a truly international group as well. It's always good to get outside of our day-to-day and hear how it's happening in other places as well, how law and public policy can work for cooperatives. Yeah, and this one is sort of the intersection of law, public policy, cooperative development, and co-op identity. And you can sign up on our website to hear when we open registration, which should be within a month. We also do a week-long credit union leadership program. So this is a 5-day program. Everything else that we do is both financial and non-financial co-ops. This one specifically, because it's affiliated with the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. This one is credit union specific, and it's helping leaders and managers as well as board directors and credit unions navigate the complexity these days, and also ensuring that we offer differentiated experience to members, and that we aren't just a financial services institution, but we are that credit union difference that people are seeking and needing. And so we've opened registration now for next September. We offer this once a year as a standalone program, or folks can carry on to do a couple more steps towards their International Credit Union Development Educator designation. And I will just highlight that we do have another symposium coming up every few years. We'll take a niche topic within the cooperative sector and we'll dig a bit deeper. We'll bring in experts and researchers, and sometimes we have publications and toolkits that come out of that as well. Last one was on cooperative governance. The next one will be on branding and marketing and cooperative identity. So we're actually going to do this one virtually in May of 2026. So on the website, there's a chance for folks to sign up if they're interested in attending, presenting, or sponsoring. We're doing this in partnership with Cooperation, the Co-op Credit Union folks, and the Northwest Co-op Development Center of the US. Yeah, and just to flag also that we have lots of publications. We do what we can to make sure these are free and open, including, like I said, we have this book coming out of our last symposium, and that is open access for folks to be able to hear from researchers across the globe on cooperative governance. We are going to be doing a free online training in February focused on the business advantage of co-op values. This is a course that we offered in Washington, D.C. Last month in advance of the Impact Conference with the National Co-op Business Association. And we try to, in the winter months, do a shorter version that's free and open for people online as well. We also have a number of case studies on our website and a whole cache of recorded webinars that we've done. And folks, if they want, can sign up for our newsletter that we send out every couple of months, updating people on what we're doing. So that's what we're up to these days.
Thank you so much, Erin. You've got a lot going on at the university, and I know it's great to hear all the different ways you're trying to connect with folks. And it's kind of unique that it's really focused on people who are already working in the sector, and again, deepening their knowledge and you putting that knowledge to work immediately, really, as they go. So that's great. So next up, we're going to hear from Marc-André, who is with the University of Saskatchewan, and he's going to share some of the work that's going on at the Canadian Centre for the Studies of Cooperatives and some of the work they do, particularly around their PhD programs, if we're thinking of a continuum of learning.
Right. Thank you, Vera. I just want to acknowledge that we're coming to you from Treaty 6 land. And I'm originally from the Huron treaty area of Northern Ontario, so I like to bring that in because that's my connection to the reconciliation process. I think the land acknowledgement for me is important because our center and the University of Saskatchewan's kind of engagement with the cooperative sector really is anchored in a bit of this kind of Western Canada perspective, if I can put it that way. We have long-standing, well, to begin with, a bit like what Erin was describing, the St. Mary's program, our center was a kind of an outcome of a kind of cooperative-led effort. This is 40 years ago. Saskatchewan was home to some really big cooperatives, still is, but bigger then. We had a wheat pool organization. We had a lot of farmer ag co-ops. We had, of course, the FCL and the cooperative retailing system. We had credit unions, farm implement manufacturers. I mean, it was a dominant force in the provincial economy. And the provincial government and the university and the cooperative sector came together and said, we got to do something about this. And the approach they took was a little different than what Erin was describing, or that what Sara was describing. They said, well, we want to seed this cooperative idea across the university, not just in a business school context, but as much as possible throughout the kind of faculties. So that was the kind of original vision. I think there's some still that pulse is still alive, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But that is a kind of core I think for us, distinguishing factor is really, that's the way we approach this question. And Sara referenced that case study project. It's anchored in that same idea that we want to get these ideas out broadly speaking. In this case, it's a bit more business school context, but with our case studies, but it has that same idea of kind of cross-disciplinary perspective. So that's a bit of our background. I'm, as Vera kind of suggested, I'm going to stay a little more narrowly focused on our academic programs. I can answer questions about the center afterwards if people are interested, but that was my understanding. We're going to really focus on our academic programs. So in terms of our academic programs, I'll start from smallest to biggest. So we have a certificate called the Social Economy Cooperatives and the Nonprofit Sector Certificate. That's basically a three-course certificate that you can take and then ladder into, if you're interested, a Master's of Public Administration degree and even a Master's of Public Policy degree that then could morph into a PhD if you had that inclination. So this is kind of our gateway drug, if you want to think of it that way. We have within this kind of certificate a co-op stream. So you can pick your focal point. It could be nonprofits, it could be co-ops, or it could be more the intersection of co-ops and public administration. So that's
sorry,
yep.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to let you know the screen sharing looks a little off. Just hard to read hard to read because you have both slides up, two slides.
Oh, that's weird. Okay,
yeah,
I must have presenter view. Thanks for that, Vera.
Yeah, no problem.
Hang on. Not sure why.
Technology.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm going to turn off. Huh. Well, you know what? I don't really need my presentation because it's just pictures of these static web pages, so it's okay. I'll just follow along my narrative. So we have this certificate program, and then you can morph into a Master's of Public Administration program, and these are programs that are for people who want to work in government. That's the kind of target audience for our school, and the center is embedded in the policy school now. So it used to be a standalone space that lived in this real interdisciplinary kind of arena, and for all sorts of boring bureaucratic university administrative reasons got merged into the policy school. So that's inflected a little bit our kind of identity. We still have this ambition of playing across disciplines, but our institutional home is in the public administration school. And if you're not familiar with public administration schools, it's a bit like, the business schools, but for people who want to work in government, nonprofits, social economy, those kind of spaces, right? So we're really aiming for anything that's outside of the formal business environment, although many of our graduates end up there too, but our kind of focal point is kind of government and adjacent sectors. And that's where the cooperatives fit in nicely. And what's interesting about that from my perspective and where I'm thinking in terms of recruiting students and bringing them in is this is a major gap. Erin alluded to this workshop they're doing next spring or next summer. what the policy focus is one of the core kind of pieces that we're trying to bring to the conversation. And it's drawing on my experience, 20 years in government and around government, the colleagues I work with bringing that experience. So this is kind of our kind of sweet spot is on contributing to the kind of debate from that policy perspective as much as possible. That doesn't mean we don't stray into other areas, but that's kind of when I describe what we do, I'd say that's core to how we approach these questions. And we do it from this interdisciplinary perspective. So we have this Master's of Public Policy degree, which is more of a research degree. We have a thesis, and we take on students there, and they could be my students, they could be my colleagues' students, they could be students of my colleagues across campus, and I'll provide you with a snapshot of who they are in a minute. But if you have this kind of interest in cooperatives and this intersection of public policy, this is a really great option. It's had really good success getting our graduates work, for example. And I think it contributes to some important discussions at the policy level. The next thing we have is, and Vera alluded to this, we have a PhD as well. So if you want to come and study at the PhD level, you can apply to our policy school. We have a PhD program. That's a long process. That's a 4 or 5 year process if you're doing it kind of expeditiously. But it's also really fulfilling if you have this burning desire to really dig into a topic. You have an interesting research question. You have a kind of maybe a bit of a theoretical mindset. Then this is a great opportunity to kind of get that PhD accreditation on a cooperative topic. And then from there, that can be your springboard to kind of getting work in a university environment and hopefully populating the university world with a bit more people who understand the cooperative sector. So that's the PhD through the policy school channel. We have another PhD program that was created actually out of the center. It was something that we incubated probably 20 years ago. It's an interdisciplinary PhD. So again, if somebody has a really interesting research question, something that they really want to spend some time digging into, and they think about it from multiple disciplines, maybe it's sociology with a bit of economics, with a bit of psychology, whatever your kind of bent is, we allow you into this program. You have to find a supervisor. I've been on a couple committees, don't have a student myself in this program, but I've been on a couple committees. And then you cobble together your own research program. You say, and your own study program. So you say, well, I'd like to take this economics course, or I'd like to take this history course, or I'd like to take this sociology course. And presumably if you're coming in from a co-op perspective, the question you're asking is co-op related. And then you would look for people who are teaching courses that integrate co-ops or are relevant to your question from a cooperative perspective. So this is a really cool program. It's, I think, pretty unique, and we produced some pretty neat stuff out of that. It's really embracing this idea that no one discipline has a lock on how to think about really important questions. And so, like I say, this is originated from the kind of center, and it's kind of co-op perspective is rich in here. And so if anyone's interested, reach out to me. I'll happily guide you through that process. Now, I did have a slide where I showed some of our affiliated faculty, but for whatever reason, I'm getting that presenter view shared thing. But we have actually a pretty extensive faculty across campus. This is back to that origin story. So we have people in sociology, we have ag econ, economics, our School of Environment and Sustainability school. We have half a dozen people in our business school who all have some connection to cooperatives. We have people in our law school, and beyond. Once we stretch beyond those kind of categories that I've just outlined, the kind of knowledge of co-op gets a little thinner. But one of our plans in the next couple of years is to really try to seed a little more of that. In fact, that idea came out of a conversation I had with a Sara student who kind of was probing me on this. What do we do here at the University of Saskatchewan? And I'm like, there's an opportunity for us to do more of that education to the other parts of the campus where we don't have kind of outposts yet. So that's something we're going to work on in the next little while. And then just in terms of, I had this other slide where I just talked about some of the kind of academic research that we're producing. And I'm going to lean a little bit more on that theme because I think our programs, our Masters of Public Policy, our PhD programs, these are a little more in the kind of academic space, a little more theory heavy, I think, than we'd see elsewhere, a little more kind of empirical than we'd see elsewhere, a little more of that kind of what you would think of as traditional academics is kind of that's the path the center has hewn, if I can say it that way, over time. And so the theses work and the papers that we published have kind of come out of that tradition. So just give an example of one example of the kind of work we've done recently, or a couple of examples. We have recently got a paper published, I'm a co-author, but with one of our postdoctoral students on the role of cooperatives in food security in East Africa. And we found we surveyed the literature. This is a very formal scoping review process. We got this published in a very high quality Nature journal that gives it broad reach across academic disciplines. Anyone who's interested in food security, globally will probably land on this paper. And because it's in a very good journal, will hopefully get cited a lot. So this is the kind of thing we're trying to hit in terms of our research output, is to kind of land in these spaces where we can influence some big discussions at that kind of level, academic level, and in these policy spaces. We also have another paper, couple papers coming out on these very unique healthcare cooperatives that are in Saskatchewan. There's about 12 in Canada, but 4 of them are in Saskatchewan. And how they're satisfying really important policy outcomes here, serving the most marginal people in places like Prince Albert or Saskatoon or Regina, and really filling out big holes in the healthcare sector. We've done work on truth and reconciliation policy adoption or alignment in the credit union sector. So what are we observing in terms of credit unions aligning themselves with these large frameworks, these global frameworks around what truth and reconciliation? We have a whole stream of research that's kind of really anchored around that as well. So those are just some samples. There's also a lot of work we do around credit unions, ag. If you live in Saskatchewan or Manitoba or Alberta, ag is an overarching theme, and it kind of courses through a lot of our work here as well. So that's it. Just to summarize, we have a certificate program that you can come in and do. It's kind of a gateway drug. We have a master's program that you can do. It's a little more academic-y, the Master's of Public Policy. And then we have the PhD program, which is full-on academic-y. And then there's another PhD program, which is the inter-D or that interdisciplinary PhD program you can come in and do as well. So if anyone's interested in any of those, I think maybe I'll put my email address in the chat, and feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks so much, Marc-André. It's, I've known about the center and sort of been linked up with the center on many occasions, but the depth of the knowledge and research coming out of the center is quite remarkable in terms of the diversity of stuff that we're learning about with a cooperative lens, if you will. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to hit pause on the recording, and then we'll open it up just for questions and conversation.